How's it going, everyone? Today we got a story time of a spoiled kid. In this spoiled kid, I don't want to give away, I don't want to give away too much of the story because the plot twist is actually really interesting. But let me just say that the spoiled kid and another figure of authority get exposed big time, and it's a massive, crazy story that only a spoiled kid would definitely do. And I know for a fact that you will enjoy today's story, so yeah, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. Fantastic deal, by the way. Subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you never miss a story. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. Anyways, right, so we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story, what should we call him? We'll call him Matt. Anyways, right, so Matt was a freshman in college. We get a lot of middle school and high school stories, but here's a college story for you guys. So anyways, Matt, the subscriber who submitted this, it was his first year in college. And, first year in college is a pretty stressful time. It's a lot is changing. It is a pretty big deal. I remember how, how scared I was. Scared. I was really nervous. I wasn't really that scared, per se. I even made a video talking about exactly how I felt about it on my channel. You can find it. It's many years old. But anyways, right, so he gets into college, he gets there, and things are pretty good at first. He meets some friends. He's doing all right in his classes, except there was one class that is absolutely terrible. So he went in and he wanted to be a business major at this college, and to be a business major at this college, you needed to take Calculus 1. And look, it depends per person how bad, how hard math is for you. Math doesn't necessarily come that easily for me, which kind of makes no sense because I'm a math major. I guess I just like pain or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that Calculus 1 is a very, similar to a lot of kind of math classes. It really depends on your teacher. Because if you think about it, you could have a topic that's covered, and then your teacher can really choose how ridiculous of a problem to give you that would take maybe even a real mathematician half an hour to solve or something, but just using the basic principles of calculus, right? So this class was notoriously difficult because the school had a very good business program, but they didn't have unlimited seats and unlimited professors and unlimited classrooms. So this was a class that's called a weed out class. When you guys get into college, not every single major, but especially some of the more popular and or rigorous majors are going to have a class or two or multiple that are called weed out classes, where basically they just make it just very, very hard, harder than it needs to be. And really just so that they can only have the people that are most dedicated for the major be taking up seats or slots or whatever. So this class, the Calculus 1 class, was very difficult, and the subscriber was definitely struggling a little bit. And by when Matt says struggling a little bit, he means majorly struggling. When I say a little bit, I mean, god damn, it's not going well. So basically and at this school, it was actually fairly strict. If you wanted to declare yourself as a business major, you needed a B- or higher in this calculus class, and only around 60% of the students were going to receive a B- or higher. It wasn't hard set that only that number would receive it, but generally that's just kind of how it was. The teacher even said this on the first day, saying you guys could all theoretically pass this class. You could all get A's. I'm not going to cap the number of A's, but just based on how I make the material and how the test, realistically, only around 60% of you are going to exit with a B- or higher, which I know a lot of you guys are here to become business majors, and that is required. So now let me introduce another character. His name is Ben. We'll call him Ben, right? And remember, not the same Ben as all the other stories. I've gotten a lot of comments about that recently. So anyways, Ben was a spoiled rich kid. Ben was one, and remember, I have to say this again, just because your parents may or may not have a lot of money does not necessarily imply that you are a spoiled rich kid, right? It's a false implication right there. Yes, there are a lot of cases in which a spoiled rich kid comes from very rich parents or whatever, but I know a lot of people that, maybe, they come from crazy backgrounds, right? And maybe they're a little ignorant on a few topics, some things are just so shocking to them that it's just so normal to people like you or me. However, they are genuinely good people. However, there are also times where kids, because of being spoiled by their parents, right, become just absolute brats. And Ben was an example of an absolute brat, dude. So, anyways, it was a kind of a smaller college. When I say smaller college, I mean he didn't go to a state school. So it wasn't like, I don't know, 600 people in a lecture class, right? There was a lot of people in this Calculus 1 class, don't get me wrong. But it was also like a college that was small enough that at least you might actually know people outside of like your immediate classroom. And why I say this is because Ben was notorious on campus. So while like the subscriber Matt didn't like know everyone, obviously it's still many thousands and thousands of people at his school. It was a small enough school that there's like a handful of kids that you just kind of knew about, even if you didn't know them personally. And Ben very quickly became super notorious because there were a handful of other, this wasn't necessarily like a rich kid school. There was a handful of kids who went there that had very like rich parents. And well, Matt assumes because he didn't hear about any of the other ones. For all he knows, Ben is literally the only spoiled rich kid there. But just because, they aren't doing the same things that Ben is doing, right? However, Ben is super, super notorious. There was an incident, and this is a little bit of a precursor to what happened in this story specifically, but here's a little mini story about Ben, just to give you a little bit of context. So dude was in the cafeteria, and here's the thing. Matt wasn't here to hear this, and it was secondhand, but it's been corroborated by so many people that it basically is fact. Maybe it's a little exaggerated, but I honestly do believe it after what you will hear Ben has been doing, which is a pretty crazy surprise that I know you guys will be in. You'll enjoy it. Anyways, right, so sure enough, one day in the very first week, they're in the cafeteria. So the school has many food options, but one of the food options is an in-school cafeteria. You have a number of swipes to get in or whatever, and I don't know, like at my college, I like the cafeteria food too. Like some people complain a lot about it, but I'm like, dude, like at the end of the day, like they have to make batches of meals for thousands of people, bro. Like the fact that it's actually this decent is, you shouldn't, I don't know, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like if you're tasting food that was made for like thousands of people, you can't hold it to the same quality standards as like food that was made specifically for you, like a one batch, like your mom made it or you got out of a restaurant. Like, yeah, bro, I'm sorry this isn't like a 5-star restaurant meal, but this is still pretty good. Anyways, so the spoiled rich kid, he was in the cafeteria with some of his friends at the time, which most likely probably didn't stay super close friends with him after this incident. I mean, maybe, who knows? But basically, he was in the cafeteria, and bro is actually so crazy for this, but he takes a bite of the food, and he spits it out. And, like, yeah, the thing is, Matt does admit that, like, the cafeteria food at his school, it's pretty hit or miss. Like, there are definitely some meals that you're like, oh, well, that wasn't that great. But at the end of the day, man, it is the cafeteria. Like, dude actually expected to get like a 5-course filet mignon, truffle fry, whatever entree type thing. Like, dude, I don't know what your expectations are, but you gotta lower them a little bit, my brother. Like, come on now. Anyways, though, so yeah, he spits out his food and he's like, I'm gonna talk to the chef. So Ben, the spoiled kid, like literally like storms up to the food line, cuts everyone in line, is like, this is ridiculous. And it's so embarrassing. Like everyone else there is getting the craziest secondhand embarrassment. So Ben basically goes on to like be like, this isn't edible. Like this is ridiculous. The fact that you guys call this food is insane. Like I demand to speak to your manager. Bro was literally like, bro might want to be a business major, but he's gonna leave college with a bachelor's of art in Karen sciences, dude. I swear, bro actually asked for the manager. So the actual like the head chef dude or whatever, or like the kitchen manager, I don't either or, I'm not actually super sure, did come out and did talk to him, but basically said like, yo, like you can't be doing that. Like you can't, like if you have a problem, there's a place on the website, but you can't be holding up the line or whatever. And so Ben basically storms out, and so many people saw this go down that he kind of became known as like the spoiled rich kid who got to freak out over his food being mediocre and like wanted to speak to the manager. So bro was already known as a problem. Anyways, let's go back to the calculus class. So there were a few math majors, which, I'm also a math major. If you guys want to choose like a major in college and you're considering a math major, like genuinely do like leave a comment down below and I can answer it. I also was a computer science major for a second and I switched because I like my math classes and I didn't like my CS classes. So if you have any questions about those, or just generally college, I'm actually very, very happy to answer in the comment section down below or in the Spotify Q&A thing. Anyways, so basically most of the kids, except like a handful of math and CS majors, were in this Calc 1 class because they wanted to be business students. So yeah, this includes the spoiled kid. I think the spoiled kid, like, I'm pretty sure the spoiled kid was in a situation where as soon as he graduates, he's literally just going to be, his like dad owns like a investing firm or something, or he's really high up somewhere. So he's like basically like, look, son, like I'll give you a cushy job. All you got to do is I need you to technically have like a degree, just get a business degree, like, and then I'll put you in a really good position that like honestly you're probably not qualified for. Which, yeah, you do love to see. Yeah, you love to see. Yeah, you do simply hate to see it, but what are you going to do about it? Anyways, though, this calculus class, as I was explaining, was actually really, really hard. And so their first test was coming around, and the subscriber was studying like crazy. He was doing all the practice exams. He was doing like little group things with other people. Yeah, so anyways, right, the subscriber was grinding out studying for this big exam, and like a lot of work was put in. And guess what the spoiled rich kid was doing during this time? Yes, I'm going to, let's have a little game. Let's have a little quiz show, guys. Okay, answer what? Okay, answer the question down below in the comment section. And after I give you A, B, and C, comment down below or pause it before I tell you the answer. A, the spoiled rich kid was studying. He was studying so hard because it really matters what he does in college. And it's definitely not like his dad's just going to give him a good job no matter how well he does. And even if he presents himself as literally like nothing, like, yeah, no, he's studying hard, man. He's studying hard. That is answer A. He's a studier. He understands the importance of a college education. B, he cannot study because he must save world hunger, end war everywhere, and actually just solve all of problems, including curing cancer, man, because he's just such a great guy. Or C, he goes on a week-long cruise on a mega yacht. Answer down below what you guys think. Yeah, so I'm going to reveal the true answer. It's C. Dude actually decides to go on a week-long cruise, like, on a mega yacht instead of studying for his exam. And here's the thing, too. You guys might be thinking, okay, well, maybe he's studying on the mega yacht. Oh, yeah, I'm sure buddy who actually cares so much about school is going to study for his calculus exam while on a mega yacht. Yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense. And also, it's not like there's, like, 15 exams. There's 2 exams and a final exam. So I guess there are 3. They all have equal weight. Which means if you fail one of them, bro, you gotta be doing real well. You gotta be doing real well in the other 2. Because, like, you need an 80 or higher to become a business student from that. Yeah, sure, you could retake the class, but you can only really take it, like, one more time before it gets questionable. Anyways, though, so the teacher was actually, so this was like a lecture class, so the teacher didn't notice the absence, and you don't get, if you don't show up to class, you don't, like, actually get punished or anything. The only punishment is, like, if you learn in class, like, you just won't perform well, but there's no attendance-based grades, so the teacher didn't actually notice that this kid was gone. The only reason that the subscriber even knows this was because he was, like, in a study group, he was like, yo, like, I'm noticing that this kid's been gone for a week, in reference to, like, the spoiled rich kid, because he was kind of notorious around school. So people in the study groups are like, yeah, dude, like, you're not going to believe this, but this is what he's been up to. And he's like, oh my God, what? Like, are you serious right now? Yeah, so anyways, right, sure enough, the subscriber, he is just like, okay, whatever, man, like, spoiled rich kid, do what he's got to do, you know what I mean? So yeah, finally, it's time for the test to come, and you get there, the test is at 8 a.m. By the way, this calculus class is at 8 in the morning, which actually my first calculus class was at 8 in the morning, too, and let me just say that, thankfully, attendance was not factored into the grade, because, hey, man, 8 in the morning. I get it. A lot of you, like, people in high school and middle school are like 8 in the morning. Like, buddy, I wake up at 6 in the morning. Look, I was the same way. When I was in high school, when I was in middle school, I was up at 6 in the morning, bro. I get it. And it felt kind of early, but you got to realize this is universally true. And people who are in college right now or have been to college, please back me up on this. As soon as you get to college Anything before 10 p.m. is somehow brutally early. Even though in high school you were easily waking up at 6:30, yeah, it felt early, but you're like, whatever. For some reason, the second you step foot on a college campus, I swear to God, guys, like anything before 10 a.m. is like actually like heinous for some reason. It's universally a true thing, and I can't super explain. I mean, I have my theories why. Anyways, though, so the exam was at 8 a.m., and the subscriber woke up at 5 a.m., did a little bit of studying beforehand, a few more practice problems, and then he kind of got to a point where he's like, there's only so much I can do here. Like, genuinely, there's only so much I can do. Which is true. At a certain point, there's only so much studying you can do. So he gets there about like 15 minutes early, and the doors open up around 10 minutes before. People go in. He's got his number 2 pencils. He's kind of tweaking out a little bit. He's a little worried just because, it's kind of, it's difficult, man. It's scary, and you only have a few chances, and he's really not trying to retake this class because he honestly would be at the point where if he got below an 80 in this, he would just probably find a new major. He'd be like, yeah, screw it, right? Anyways, though, so it's eventually the clock strikes 8, and the teacher goes around and has already handed out the exams, but says, you may now begin. 5 minutes after the exam has started, and this is a 50-minute class, so that is like, I don't know, what like 8% of the time's already gone by? That was literally pulled out of my butt. It's probably off. But almost 10% of the time is done. And yeah, sure enough, the spoiled rich kid walks in 5 minutes late, bro. I would have so much anxiety if I showed up to a test on the point it started. Like if I showed up at 8, even 7:59 for a test that starts at 8, I would be in such a bad headspace. I always got to be there like half an hour before if possible. Like I'm there crazy early if possible. Yeah, anyways, right, so sure enough, the subscriber is very focused in on his test, but he does notice this, and he's just like, okay, whatever, like, it's just the spoiled kid, who cares? Anyways, though, so yeah, eventually the subscriber finishes the test with like 1 minute to go, hands it in, and it's just like, you know what, I did the best I could do. I honestly put in the most work possible. I put in all the work possible, whatever, right? So he gets up and leaves. So about a week later, the teacher goes around handing back the exams, and the subscriber is pretty, tensed up, whatever. So the teacher actually starts in the back of the room first, which is a little bit weird, but whatever. So the teacher hands back the subscriber's exam. He gets an 85, and the subscriber is like, oh, thank God, okay, great. Like, obviously, you can do better than an 85, but this exam was supposed to be very difficult, and an 85 is actually a very, very good score. And it also was above the 80% threshold, which means that he has more room in the future to mess up than less room. Like, if he got a 78 on the exam, like, that would be okay. Like, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but he'd have to do better than an 80 for the other 2 exams, especially if, like, the only grades were the 3 exams, which there was no homework, so it was. He would need to do at least better than an 80 on the 2 other exams to make up for to try and get an 80 in the class. Anyways, though, so this also means that the spoiled kid who sits in front of him, the teacher handed back his exam. The subscriber honestly couldn't believe what he saw. The spoiled kid had received a 100%. This made absolutely no sense. The spoiled kid didn't pay attention in class. He was gone for the whole week, and he showed up 5 minutes late. He's like, it's clear this kid didn't study, but I mean, he had to have studied to get 100%. Like, there's no other way. At that point, the subscriber was very confused, and it's fun. It's sad because it kind of took away from the subscriber's good feeling of getting such a good grade on that one, on his own test. But anyways, yeah, sure enough, the subscriber's like, okay, like nothing I can do about that. Like at the end of the day, it's like it's out of my control. But anyways, the next couple days, something very interesting begins to unfold. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment spoiled down below. That'll be the secret word of the day, and it'll let me know how many people, or really the names and faces of people who made it this far into the video. Technically, I see people comment like, oh, you can go into the stats and see how many people made it this far. Yes, I can see percentage-wise, but I can't see names and faces. So it's cool to see the names and faces. So comment spoiled if you made it this far into the video. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure that you have turned on the notifications so you never miss a story video. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you rated the podcast 5 stars and also followed the podcast. We're nearing in on 30,000 followers on Spotify, which is pretty cool. And also, if a poll pops up, please answer it. I think Spotify likes it when you guys answer the polls. It's a new feature, and they always like it when you guys interact with new features. So yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right back into it, because things are about to get pretty interesting from this point on. Anyways, right, so next week in class, it's a random Tuesday. They're going over something. I think the first test was like derivatives, so now they're learning about the antiderivative. Ooh, spooky, whatever. Anyway, so they're doing something, and it's not really important what they're doing in that class. And all you got to know is the subscriber, Matt, is kind of just sitting there, kind of glossing out a little bit. Like he's kind of spacing, which is totally understandable. I mean, he literally just burned his brain out trying to study for this exam, and he did pretty well. So he's basically taking a break. Any material that's covered in the class, too, he can always study it on his own and learn it that way. He never actually found the instructor that good at explaining whatever was going on. But that's when this normal Tuesday, or what seemed like a normal Tuesday, would no longer become a normal Tuesday. It would actually be one of the craziest moments probably in the school's history. Okay, maybe not, but it's definitely a crazy moment. Maybe it's the craziest moment in the school's history. Who knows? So a staff administrator opens up the door, and the teacher is mid-lecture. And the staff administrator goes up, kind of like motions at the teacher that like, yeah, I got to talk to you now, which is like pretty unexpected, because normally it's like one of these people would wait until the class is over or schedule a time with the teacher or send him an email, unless it was super urgent and needed to be like discussed right now. So the teacher looked nervous, which was really weird. So when the staff person came in, that's when Matt kind of like he kind of snapped back into it, because he's like, oh, well, like, what's going on? Like, I wasn't paying attention. Like, what's up? And he looks, and the teacher has a weirdly nervous look on his face, which is very weird and doesn't make, like, why would the teacher have a nervous look on his face? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So the staff person goes over and whispers something into the teacher's ear, and is like talking to the teacher for like a 30 seconds to 45 seconds, whispering stuff into his ear. And you can almost see like a look on the teacher's face as if like, I don't know, dude, you can see his like stomach drop, bro. Like it's weird. And at this point, Matt's like, dude, like what is going on? Like, it's very obvious that like maybe like the teacher just received bad news about a family member or something. Like what actually happened was not even in the realm of possibilities for Matt. Like he didn't even imagine it for a second. Yeah. So anyways, right. The teacher then motions at Ben, the spoiled rich kid. He's like, Ben, like, could you come up here for a second? And Ben, like, looks super stiff. So at this point, the subscriber's like, hey, yo, like, something's going on. Like, something is so sus. And everyone else in the class is realizing that, too. They're kind of, like, whispering to each other. So Ben gets up, and he walks up, and kind of, like, the teacher's almost like, or the staff is, like, person's, like, whispering to the both of them, trying to, like, keep their voice down or whatever. And then they both just walk out of the class. Like, the teacher doesn't even say what to do. Everyone's just sitting in the class. So after about 5 minutes of people sitting there and everyone's talking, like, eventually someone gets up and says, I'm just going to leave. I don't think the teacher's coming back. And so everyone else kind of, like, that kind of, like, gets the whole lecture class to, like, get up and leave. And someone wrote on the board, like, we all left. IDK where you are, bro. Like, I think he says a little bit more formally than that. But that's basically what they were saying. So over the next couple of days, like, there were rumors that were circulating until it became fact, because it was like published in the school newspaper, or it was like published all online. I don't know exactly how, but it became fact. Basically, this is what happened. So you might be thinking, okay, how did the spoiled rich kid get away with not studying for this thing at all and then getting a 100%? So he didn't study at all, and he did get a 100%. He also had no idea how to do any of it, and he still got a 100%. That is because he bribed the teacher, or I should say his parents, or using his parents' credit card, bribed the teacher. He wanted a business degree, but he didn't want to have to work for the calculus section. So what he ended up doing was he paid the teacher to give him 100%, and it must have been a good amount of money because the teacher knew that they were taking on a risk. I mean, you could also say that, yeah, like this says more about teacher salaries should be higher. This was a college professor, bro. Like, Teacher salaries in high school and middle school is a different story than college professors. Maybe college professors should be paid more, but it's definitely a different conversation than teachers should be paid more in general, because high school teachers are not paid enough. College professors, that's where you get the bread at. So it must have been a really, really good amount. And the actual amount was never disclosed, but basically that teacher was put on like interim suspension, and Ben, the spoiled rich kid, I don't think he was technically kicked out of the school. I think he decided to withdraw before they could slap something on his app or on his basically why he got terminated. Eventually, a couple like many months later, the subscriber found out that, Ben matriculated to another school and he was going to college at another college that was very far away. But it just goes to show you, man, you can't cheat your way through everything.